One thing that I focus on, I work with sales teams all over the world, and they come along and say, right, we want this, and we want this, and we want this, and I say to them, tell me about what your people are doing at the moment. I don't know, I just want better results. And I said, well, okay, how many phone calls are they making? How many times are they speaking to new prospects? How many dials? Do you know how many calls that they're actually working on? I had a team 6 months ago, and he said, we want to do this. And he said, right, go back and look at your phone records and reverse engineer how many outbound phone calls they made to new customers. And the whole team of 10 people had made, as a group, 15 outbound calls to new clients. 15, yeah. So how easy was it for me? I said, you don't need sales training. You just need to do more work. You just need to pick up the phone more. But what was happening to their salespeople is that their conversations they're having with themselves when it comes to picking up that telephone, when it comes to picking up the phone and having conversations with strangers was what's been happening since you were 5 years old. Go back to when you were 5 years old. Almost one of the first things that your mum and dad said to you. Don't speak to who? Strangers. Don't speak to strangers. And then all of a sudden you find yourself in the sales space, and your job is to do what? Speak to strangers. And you're like, oh, how can I find some excuse? So we get really busy doing lots of things. Oh, some good time. We need more marketing stuff. We need more brochures, catalogs, more research, more support, more events. And the truth is, the fundamental truth is that you just need to pick up the telephone more. My mantra is, and I invite you to take this back to your organizations, is 10 before 10. You know, and I know that if all of your salespeople, and if you've got a sales team, and if you're in that sales team, if you made 10 outbound calls by 10 a.m. every single day, consistently, you'd be successful. That's without any training. That's without getting better at anything. That's without understanding any technique or tactic. If you just made more phone calls, you'd do better. So that's the first thing I did with this team. I sent them out. I said, here's a list of numbers. Go. In half an hour, they'd come back and they'd made 100 outbound calls. They'd done in half an hour what the business hadn't done in a year. So activity is key. Now, once you start using and getting active in the marketplace, the next thing you've got to do is understand that people don't want to be. You don't want to interrupt them, and they don't want to be interrupted. And so I bring along I usually bring it, here it is. I bring along my mobile phone with me just in case when it comes to making phone calls. But when people say, everybody's got one of these devices sitting on the table, and they say, well, okay, I just need to make that phone call. What happens when you put the call through? You get these calls. You'll be getting calls from Saxons and all these other guys are going to be ringing you up saying, hey, what do you think of the speakers? Do you like them? What? Do you want to book them? What's your first reaction? I can tell you, my favorite position in the whole world is I'm lying on the sofa in my lounge room. I've got my feet